Hello and welcome to this, my first ever battle report on my brand new Say Hi Paul YouTube channel. So, my battle reports have a particular style to them. If you want to know a bit more about why I do things the way I do, check out the welcome video. It's about 10 minutes long and it just says what I'm doing and what you can expect if that's something you're interested in. So I want to tell you about the battle and then the house rules and stuff, and then we'll get on to the armies. So this is a battlefield on the planet Archimedes 9. It's a distant planet where the Eastern Fringes meet the edge of Ultramar, just outside of the influence of the Citrix Maledictum. And from the astrological charts, it appears that it sort of bends around the edge of the Citrix. So this is an industrial world with a high and valuable output. And on this planet, has the great misfortune to have recently fallen prey to the Night Lords. My Night Lords warband, the 53rd Talon, have recently been attempting to resupply in the local area. But their last attempt, they were foiled by the Fulminators chapter of Primaris Space Marines. They captured a lot of loot, they got a lot of stuff, but they effectively ended up with a net loss. And they came out with less than they had to start with. So, the Night Lords have been looking for some choice targets to resupply from, and their eyes fell on Archimedes 9. They did an initial bombardment of the planet to basically terrify the local populace and to have carefully avoided the munitions. They've been on the planet for a number of days, pillaging various different supply depots, having a jolly good time murdering the populace and rolling over the PDF on the planet. And their new adversaries, the Fulminators, have tracked them down and are launching a counter-strike. So this mission is one I'm going to have to check the name of in the book because my memory isn't that good. 1 minute. So this is a retrieval mission, or the retrieval mission. So there are 6 objectives on this battlefield, and they are in pre-prescribed positions. Can you see that one? Yeah, we can see that one. I could have just walked around the other side. Usual match to play type scenario. You get 5 points for 1 objective, 10 points for 2, and 15 points if you have more than your opponent. We're also going to have secondary objectives based on the narrative of this scenario, which we will get to in a minute when we look at the armies. Is there anything else to tell you about this bit? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, well, I know one thing I definitely have to tell you about is the house rules. So, if you're interested in knowing why I have house rules and some details and information around them, there is a video called House Rules and My Thoughts on 9th Edition. So I'm just going to run, if you want detail, I'm just going to run through them. You can look in there. I'm just going to briefly run through them. Most of these won't come up throughout the course of the game. No scaling on Smite. No restriction on multiple castings of the same psychic power. I don't actually think there are any psychers in this game. No +1 limits on hit and wound rolls. Ignore the coherency check. Don't use command point rerolls. No limit on multiple uses of one stratagem in the same phase. No limits on points earned in missions. That may come into effect. Something to do with heavy orgs units, super heavies, that won't come into effect. Multiple damaging abilities, that won't come into effect. And this one, characters can charge along with units they are attached to, which I'll explain if it comes up. So they're my house rules. What else do I need to tell you about before we look at the armies? I can't think of anything, which means I've either forgotten or I'll mention it later. Oh, yes, it is worth mentioning. I'm playing this game against myself. The lockdown rules in the UK and my own personal scenario means I'm still not able to have any visitors to game with at any rate. So I'm playing this game against myself. So, in 8th edition, it was quite easy to do that because you could play Maelstrom cards, and that would take away the trying to outthink yourself. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and play each turn purely from the perspective of that next turn. As in, if I'm playing Night Lords turn 2, I will think about that turn, not about what I might do in turn 3 or turn 4 or turn 5 or what my opponent might do in later turns. I will try and do it that way. If I'm not sure about something, I'll roll a dice to determine. Yes, the other thing, and I might zoom out for this, getting pretty technical on the camera now, is terrain. So, I can't remember all of the exact right names for everything, and I'll look them up during the game as I go along, but craters, +1 cover and -2 move. Defense lines are -2 move, +1 save in combat and in shooting, and you get the 2-inch charge thingy. Same goes for these Aegis lines. These small ruins are difficult terrain and so -2 move and -1 to hit. This is a slightly taller piece of terrain, so this is area same as this one, and because it's higher than 5 inches, blocks line of sight. These bits and bobs are obstacles. Another crater, and that is an Imperial statuary, which will give +1 leadership to Imperial units within so many inches of it. I think that's it. Let's go and look at, the Night Lords first. Okay, so the first thing you will notice is my super high-tech scoreboard that I'm going to be using to keep track of the points throughout the game. High-tech for the win. Right, so here is the Night Lord force. Teensy pause there to remember what things were. So let me talk you through what we are looking at. First of all, this is First Claw. It is a unit of Chosen with an aspiring champion, which is the champion of the 53rd Talon, and a Master of Executions, who is a executioner. I will come back to these guys in a little while. So the rest of these are a unit of Chosen with various weapons. It's all WYSIWYG. There's a combi melter, there's a combi flamer, plasma melter, there's a power axe, heavy bolter, and some close combat weapons and stuff. So that is First Claw. Coming back here, we have Fifth Claw. Again, WYSIWYG. There is a Power Fist in there, as well as, I can't see from here, a Heavy Bolter, and I'm sure there's another weapon. You see, I'm not even pointing the camera properly. I'm sat on the floor so I don't obscure the light from behind me. And a melter gun. There's the chap, and a melter gun. So that's Fifth Claw. Over here we have Eighth Claw, with a chain axe, plasma pistol, plasma gun, and autocannon. That's a unit of Chaos Space Marines, as is this one in the middle, so those two are troops. At the back here we have Ninth Claw. That is a unit of Havocs, 2 las cannons, 2 missile launchers, and a flamer and power maul on the champion. I assume he kits himself up like that to make it look like he's going to actually have a fight, when, in all likelihood, he's really not. Then over here we have 10th Claw, which is a unit of 7 Chaos Space Marines, and the champion has a plasma pistol, power maul, and there's also a flamer in the unit, as well as a mix of close combat weapons and other bolters, that's it. 2 rhinos with combi bolters on them, and cadavers and heads and all that scary stuff. Then at the back here we have a pack of the Raptor cult known as the Bleeding Maw. This particular pack are known as the Bile Drinkers. We have a Contemptor Dreadnought, Forge World model, with a Butcher Cannon and a Fist with a built-in combi bolter. This fellow is Amathus the Depraved, formerly the Claw leader of 7th Claw before it was wiped out. And at the time of this incursion, at the time of this, he happened to be awake. So he declared that he was going. And the Talon Master, not really in a position to stop him. Okay, so the characters at the front here, from a narrative point of view, they are members of First Claw. But obviously, they are characters. So this chap here, we have Vincor, the Talon champion. He's got a power fist and a plasma pistol. He also has a relic, the Vox Demonicus. Now, the description of the Vox Demonicus is it's a sort of demon-possessed helm. Yeah, I don't really go with that demon side of things. As far as I'm concerned, he's the focal point for the broadcast of a whole load of screams and nastiness and stuff that's flooding the enemy Vox. Then we have this chap, who is Mirak the Executioner, who just has his big choppy executioner's axe. Now, he happens to be the warlord of this army, which I'll explain in a moment. His warlord trait is Killing Fury, which gives him an extra D3 attacks whenever he does the charge, heroic intervention, be charged, all that kind of stuff. And he also has a relic, the Stormbolt Plate, which gives him a +1 save and always counts in cover, so kind of basically it's a +2 save. So I have spent an extra command point on that. 12 command points, because it's a 1500 point game, more there or thereabouts. At the minute, Battle Scribe and the Warhammer app are all disagreeing with each other about how many points things cost, so I've used the one app to create them all, and it's just shy of 1500 points for both lists. So, from a narrative point of view, this force is not expecting a big fight. The goal for the Night Lords is to acquire more gear, not to consume the resources that they've already got. So, First Company would normally deploy a Land Raider, but the Talon Master has decided that he doesn't want to expend the fuel or the power cells that power the weapons for such a simple task of overcoming the PDF. Equally, he wouldn't even countenance waking up any of the other dreadnoughts. The only reason this one is here is because it was already awake. And he tends to spend a reasonable amount of time awake because of all the dreadnoughts that the 53rd Talon have, he is the least insane. At the moment, despite being called the Deranged, that's more an honorific of all the horrible things he got up to in life. And when you consider his competition, that's a pretty big achievement. So, in terms of secondary objectives, the Night Lords want to minimise losses. They're here to gain stuff, not lose stuff. That is a special end game objective based on the particular mission, specific to the mission, that's the phrase. And based on what percentage of points you've got left at the end of the game, you get some points for that. So, minimising losses. Yeah, they're here to get stuff, not lose stuff. As such, they also want to engage on all fronts because they're Night Lords. They have realised that the enemy are inbound, and there are some Imperial dogs, some Astartes inbound, and they know they want to encircle them. So they're going to engage on all fronts, which is about getting points if you are in 3 table quarters, or more if you're in 4 table quarters. And they've also chosen, while we stand, we fight. They don't want to get wiped out, they want to stand and fight. And that involves getting points for the 3 most expensive models being left alive at the end of the game. And I've just realised that actually one of the rhinos is more expensive than one of the characters, but that I don't care about that. So the 3 models are the Warlord, the Warlord Mirak, the Champion Vincor, and the Contemptor Dreadnought Amethyst the Depraved. So we're also spending another 2 command points to put 2 units of Chaos Marines into Strategic Reserve. We've seen that they're coming, and they have run off into the shadows to come and strike at the Astartes once they have engaged. Equally, the Bile Drinkers are going to drop in from Deep Strike also. I don't think I've forgotten anything. If I have, I will come to it as we go along. So they are the forces of the Night Lord's 53rd Talon. Okay, so here we have the Fulminators. I'll go through, same thing, I'll go through what all the units are and what they've got, then I'll go through the narrative behind the army. So this is a Lieutenant Marius Feldor. He is the Warlord of the army. He has the Warlord trait, Rights of War, which basically makes him count as objective secured, and he has an aura bubble. I've just realised I forgot something with the Night Lords. He has an aura bubble, which makes units immune to morale within 6 inches of him. Being a lieutenant, his aura of reroll 1s to wound is also a thing. He has a relic, the Bellicus Bolt Rifle, which is basically an uber shooting gun, which I'll get to as and when I use it. Mentioning his auras has just prompted me to go back over here and explain what the Vox Demonicus does. Is it shuts down enemy auras within 6 inches of it. Ooh, scary. Right, as we were. Then, as his second in command, we have Chaplain Abraxas Geminus. For those of you who have watched my hobby vlog, you'll know that I randomly rolled these names out of the Ultramarines book. So some of them don't have scansion quite so good. But he's Chaplain. He has the Recitation of Focus. They want... Oh, forgot something. Right, hang on, 1 sec. He has Recitation of Focus, which is a 6-inch bubble +1 to hit with ranged weapons. They want their Marines to be keeping a level head because they know this is going to be terrifying. I just thought I'd forgot to tell you about his Warlord trait, but now I've just remembered I didn't. Back over here. So that's that chap. And at the back, we have Agamenus Quartus, the Redemptor Dreadnought, who has a lot of guns. He's got a big gun, and a little gun, and 2 chest guns, and an anti-flyer gun, which might actually have some use against the Raptors. Okay, we have 10 fire support Marines in 2 squads of 5, 1 squad of 5 Hellblasters, 1 squad of 5 Aggressors with Flamestorm cannons. We only have 5 fast support, which I'll come on to in a minute, who are Inceptors with bolt things, guns, shooty guns. And we have 3 units of Interceptors, 2 units of 10, both with 2 grenade launchers, and 1 unit of 9 with 1 grenade launcher. So this army was a demi-company when it was launched onto the planet. The first thing they did was home in on Imperial signals calling for help. Unfortunately, Night Lords being Night Lords, this was a trap. And they triggered many explosives, many snares, many injured but booby-trapped, rigged civilians, and they suffered some casualties. They lost a total of 6 Marines, or at least 6 Marines were rendered inoperable for the mission ahead. So Lieutenant Feldor has reorganised into as many full-size battle-ready units as possible, whilst making best use of the individuals available. Unfortunately, being in the vanguard, the Inceptors took the brunt of the damage, and a number of their suits were destroyed or rendered inoperable, which is why he has configured in this way. The Fulminators also spending 2 command points because they are familiar with Night Lord tactics and know that they will be in some way lured and are beset with traps, that's the word. So spending 2 command points and putting a menace, Agamenus. I will get it in a minute. Agamenus and 1 unit of intercessors, nearly said tactical marines then, and 1 unit of intercessors into strategic reserve, also in order to counter-strike the traitors. So, in terms of chapter traits, I thought they were on the page I'm looking at, but they're not. Wobbly camera, trying to turn page and read with other hand. Yeah, this is the level of professionalism you can expect from me. So, yeah. Yes, this is the Fulminators' 5th company. Don't know if I mentioned that bit. So the Fulminators they have Ultramarines Gene Seed, and they have all been named in honour of their Primarch, and they wear, in most part, his heraldry. They were formed from the Terran Guard in about M32, towards the tail end of the Scouring, and were put into stasis along with a lot of other of Belisarius' creations around that time. So this is an army of Awakened. They know their role, and their role primarily. They have less flexibility in moving into other roles, which kind of contradicts what I just said about reorganising. Might have to have a think about that and get that right next time. But at the time they were fighting, they were primarily scouring and fighting traitors. And since being awakened in the Indomitus Crusade, they have been fighting traitors. So I've decided that these guys aren't going to be inheritors of the Primarch and gain the Ultramarines doctrine. I've decided that they are going to have preferred enemy traitors, which gives them reroll to hit in close combat against traitors. And they will always have preferred enemy traitors, irrespective of who I'm fighting. So long as they have preferred enemy traitors. If I decide that that's the wrong thing for the chapter and rewrite the background, it'll change to something else. But so long as they have preferred enemy, it will always be traitors. Because I'm still experimenting a little bit at this point. And to represent the Ultramarian discipline, they have bolter fusillades. So that's rerolling 1s to hit on bolt weapons. Now, I think that is everything covered. I may have forgotten something I meant to include, any lovely little nuggets of information, so I apologise if I do. I'm now going to go and read the book about how I meant to deploy, and do that. See you on the other side. Okay, so I'm actually mid-deployment, so I thought I'd film some of the deployment dilemma. So, this being a big... We've diced off and the Night Lords won the roll. This being a big piece of line of sight blocking terrain. It turns out that the area with all the stuff on is pretty much no man's land. So the Night Lords are thinking, we want to be able to push up the table to get into all four quarters and to get on as many objectives as possible. So we've got one rhino here. This has first claw in it, so that's the Chosen, the Champion, and the Executioner. So they can possibly be on that objective, although you can't score them in turn one. Well, yeah, I'm not entirely sure about that. I don't know. I'm probably going to play it and then see how I like it as to whether I change that for future games. Either way, because this is a narrative game, I'm just using a match play mission, so as far as I'm concerned, that's totally tweakable. Anyway, so he went there, which then made me think, right, where do the Hellblasters want to go? And I thought, well, I don't know where to put the Hellblasters yet. But I also want to be moving up the table and controlling these objectives. So that objective in there, I thought, I'm going to sit on that all game and make him come and take it off me. So I combat squadded to have this guy behind the defence line, ready to move on to that in turn one. And this one sit on that part of the defence line as well. In response, Night Lords dropped another Rhino with 10 Marines in here, on the basis that we're probably going to put something here in a minute to move on to that objective in turn one, and then push up here towards that one. There's also these crates, they really do block line of sight. So, yeah, that was the pushing up from a Night Lord's perspective. But then, now I'm a Fulminator again, I'm trying to think about where I want to put these Hellblasters, because if I put them in the ruin here, I've got decent lines of fire to cover both areas, but my range is limited. It's only going to take me halfway up the table. I won't be able to touch anything that's all the way down there. And, oh, the Night Lord's just had a thought. He hasn't put anything on that objective. That's a problem. That's someone else's problem. So, I could put them in there, but I've got a range issue. I could put them here, and I'll have good lines of fire against that tank, but not so good in that direction. Same problem, in reverse. So, dilemmas. Not sure which way I'm going to go, but I thought I'd tell you about the dilemma. I'm going to go and catch my scrin, or even scratch my chin. Okay, so this is what it looks like now that deployment has finished. So the Fulminator decided to combat squad again, going there. Of course, only realising at this point that reduces the effectiveness of a number of stratagems because they have to be played in different units. But I think, given the number of objectives in this game, that is a price worth paying. The Night Lord had to put those Havocs there in order to keep that objective. The lines of sight aren't great, but it does cover a lot of the battlefield. And given I know there's a Dreadnought stalking about, I can see the blip on the Auspex somewhere in the distance. I can move them. They can move, is what I'm saying. So then, where's he gone? The Fulminator put the Flamestorm Aggressors in the lee of these crates. They couldn't be targeted by the Havocs. So the Night Lord finished by popping that Contemptor Dreadnought down there to threaten on a number of flanks, which then led to Hellblasters ending up down here to cover Rhino coming that way, Dreadnought coming that way, and partly Rhino coming that way. The Chaplain with his shooty power is near the units that are most likely to stay still and shoot, and the Captain with his fearless bubble is pushing forward. So that's deployment. I now have 2 dice in my hand, and from what I've read, we roll off, and the winner picks who goes first. Both sides want to go first. I've had a good think about it tactically. Both sides want to go first, so the winner goes first, basically. Or that could happen. See, this is why I don't do live dice rolls. I can't do the looking at the things. I either can't get the dice, or I do that with the camera whilst I'm looking at the thing and picking them up. Anyway, right, let's try that again. And the winner is... the Night Lords have turn 1. Whoop! And also, boo. But just before the Night Lords have their first turn, I totally remembered something I forgot to cover in the briefing, were the secondary objectives for the Fulminators. Because they are here to basically kill, scuff and mount, the Fulminators are thinning their ranks, kill models. They are first striking, kill stuff quick, hit them hard, and whilst they're reeling, kill stuff. And also bring it down, so victory points for killing monsters and vehicles. Right, that's what the Fulminators are doing. Now, Night Lord's turn 1. Okay, so there were a number of decisions had to be made. Obviously, we wanted to push up the table to get as close as possible to that objective for next turn. But Flamestorm aggressors. Ouchie. Ouchie, burny, punchy. Equally, the Contemptor could have tried a long bomb charge. No, it couldn't. It couldn't possibly have made it. But I thought, that's too far. So we're at pretty much extreme charge range for the aggressors next turn. Decided not to pop smoke, just in case we need it in subsequent turns, because I don't think there's going to be that much fire coming in from over here next turn. There's obviously going to be fire coming in, but don't know how much. And potentially we can get the unit out, get to the objective, and move the Rhino on to try and get some more table control. This turn we're not going to have any table control. Didn't manage to make it into this half because this was slowing movement down. That's one of the factors, was the movement being slowed from this. So the Contemptor decided to just move in enough to get on that objective, and we're going to put some fire down to those aggressors in a moment. The Havocs had only one target. The lines of sight are terrible. The only unit they could see were these ones here, and there are now only 4 of them. Missed 3 times, but vaporised 1 with a las cannon. Over there, a little bit more aggressive. The Rhino advanced and got a 6-inch advance, of which we used about 4 inches. So it's pushed forward. Its bum is still on the objective for next turn, but we've popped smoke in the hope to withstand the fusillade that's going to come in next turn. Of course, remembering the Fulminators have first strike. They absolutely want to kill a unit next turn, which, maybe the Rhino. Who knows? We shall see. So, now we're going to do the shots from the Contemptor into the aggressors. So, 4 shots with the Butcher Cannon, hitting on 2s. Not rerolling anything for any reason. 4 hits, strength 8, so wounding on 3s. Oh, should have popped vets. Never mind. 4 wounds. Right. Here's the tricky bit. So they've got a 3-up save, and they are... Oh, actually, they're not all in the cover of the defence line. Or within 3 inches of that obstacle. So actually, they're not going to get the +1, because they've decided to not go behind this line, so as to be out of line of sight from the Havocs, which, hashtag good move. But it means they're not going to get the cover from these shots. So -1, so 4s to save. They fail 1. Take 2 wounds. I'll have to check, but I think they have 3 wounds. They do indeed. So 1 model with 1 wound taken off. So that's going to be the end of the Night Lord. Oh, there's a combi bolter. There is a combi bolter. There's a combi bolter. I don't know why I'm filming this, because it's probably not going to do anything. Oh my god. Winning on a 5, so saving on a 3. Saves. Good, solid Imperial armour, made in the forges of Mars. Irritating. I want the armour. But they're too big. It's like getting hand-me-downs that don't fit yet. You'll grow into it. I won't. I don't get the extra organs. It's not fair. Mom! Right. No points scored, I don't think, because my 2 secondaries are end games. And I didn't get table control, so nothing scored for these guys, although I did gain a command point at the start of the turn. Had a look through all my command points, didn't think of anything that was really that worth using, so it must now be Fulminators, turn 1 and movement phase. First things first, they get a command point, hooray! Also, Oh, so conflicted. Okay, so we've just had the movement phase. And here was the dilemma. The Flamestorm aggressors were... The distance between them and the Contemptor meant they need a 5-inch advance to be able to get in range to move and to flame it. Which, not so good. Equally, they wouldn't be able to get to this to charge it either. They would be out of charge range of both units and maybe only flame one of those. So what I've done is I've pushed them up into the line of these containers to keep them out of line of fire of these Havocs. They're going to have a very, very, very dull game. And I started to move these intercessors over, but then I thought, well, actually, that'll just mean the Chaos Marines can go around without the barricade. So really, this is an invitation. This unit of 10 Chaos Marines and that Dreadnought can push this way. If they do, they've got to take on those Flamestorm aggressors. And actually, there aren't enough, really, that many units in the Night Lord's army to be covering so many of these objectives. I know I can't gain points for all of them, which is a bit odd. But I still need to have coverage. Anyway, so that's what's happened over here. Over here, the Chaplain, I'm honestly not looking his name up. Chaplain Abraxas, seamless. Chaplain Abraxas attempted to use the Recitation of Focus, but rolled a snake eye, and so he was not inspiring this turn. So these guys are having to shoot without it. These guys have all moved up to be in rapid fire range. They were technically going to be in rapid fire range earlier, but the Hellblasters have come out of their cozy little bunker to get into rapid fire range with the movement, because the thingy slows it down. 2 of them are going to be in rapid fire range. Haven't decided yet if I'm going to overcharge or not. With a bit of luck, they might break the Rhino open so I can shoot at the contents for some of these guys. Not sure where these guys are shooting yet. I'll see if there are any stragglers to pick off in a minute. Obviously, the battlefield seems a little light in this turn because of stuff, but lack of stuff. Reserves. That's the word. Reserves. Yeah, okay, so that's what's moved and why it's moved. Let's do some shooting. So, Lieutenant, who has a name, Lieutenant Feldor over the Vox, stressing the importance of being able to take out an early target and put the Night Lords on the back foot, has given the Hellblasters permission to override the safety protocols and, keep the thinger down. But because the Rhino popped smoke, they knew it was very risky. They've not known exactly when to take the shot, and that extra second of waiting to get the right shot has meant the coils have vented in a rather fatal way to 2 of the brave noble Astartes, who have one whose gun has detonated, knocking him unconscious, the other who has suffered severe burns. However, there are a buttload of hits, and hopefully they will help achieve the mission objective. Okay, only 4 wounds being done there. Only 2 actually punching through the armour and wounding the vehicle, which, sad times. So now, 1 unit at a time, they're going to attempt to bring the Rhino down. So it's going to be crack grenade and bolt of fire. Okay, the number of 3s that were just rolled was insane. That's some pretty funky smoke. 2 wounds, 1 per unit. 1 with a crack grenade that only got a single wound, and 1 with a lucky bolt round. It looks like the only chance to secure first strike, obviously I'll do the rest of the shooting to see what happens, but likely the only chance of securing first strike is going to be for 1 or other of these units to charge. 1 probably can't do it, 2 probably can, but it would mean abandoning the objective, and then at the start of the Night Lord's turn they would control 3 objectives, which would be 15 points. Let's see how the rest of the shooting goes. I think I may have messed up here. I don't know if I was reading the Codex Astartes correctly. So in staying back on the other side of this wall, no one is in rapid fire range of the Contemptor Dreadnought. 2 guys are in rapid fire range of the Rhino. Trying to decide which is the best to take out, because these guys both have 10 wounds, they're both toughness 7, and they've both got a 3-up save. Yes, he has an invulnerable save, but none of these weapons are going to excuse me, going to reduce that. Oh, just realised I didn't advance that last turn, so I could have fired the comp porter. Never mind. Am I more scared of the Contemptor Dreadnought, or am I more scared of the Marines and hit the Contemptor? Contemptor. We're going to shoot the Contemptor. So actually, in the end, I split fire. I shot these 2 that were in rapid fire range at the Rhino, and the 3 that were at maximum range at the Dreadnought. Took a wound off each one. So Lieutenant Feldor has the Bellicus bolt rifle. He is going to put all 4 of those shots into that deranged. Oh, it is the deranged. I was going to try and be derogatory to it then, but I guess that deranged beast, which, yeah, it kind of is a deranged war machine. They're both calling it deranged. That is interesting. Hitting on 3s, but because this is a bolt rifle, I do reroll 1s. Oh, never mind. Okay, strength 5, hitting on 5s. Oh, -1. No, and that's 2 damage for the Bellicus bolt rifle, taking it down to 7. These guys have very limited targets. 1 was able to fire at that Rhino, missed. 3 were able to fire at that Rhino, and nothing. A couple of wounds, but they were both saved. So that is the end of the shooting phase. So, do we want first strike? Well, if we achieve first strike, that's 6 points? 3 points. But we'll be gifting the Night Lords 5 points if we stay off these units. Oh, some casualties I better take off. Whoops. As you were. I'm really at a dilemma as to what to do here. I am thinking that, of course, the Chosen who are inside, although the Fulminators don't know who's inside, but whoever's inside is going to get out and assault them next turn. But they'd probably do that if they were here, as if these guys had already pushed into them. They might take some casualties if it explodes. That is probably the thing to do, so let's do that. Right, these 2 units are going to go in. Are these obstacles? Do they slow the charge down? Right, I'll do some dice rolling and looking at books, and I'll come back to you. Okay, so I'm counting these as battlefield debris. Means they do nothing. So, 1 made the charge, 1 didn't. But heretics are their preferred enemy, and they scored a ton of hits and a total of 5 wounds. 4 wounds to get through. Can we do it? So these are the armour saves of the baddie. Oh, wrong colour. These are the armour saves of the baddies. Right, 3+ to save. The Fulminators need 4 of these to fail. Good luck, everyone. And 1 gets through. The ancient armour holds firm. And the Rhino survives. First blood not secured. So at the end of battle round 1, the scores are 0-0. Okay, so at the start of the Night Lord's command phase, they're on 1, 2, 3 objectives. So that's not more than the Fulminators. So that's 10 points to the Night Lords. Scores are finally on the board. So because of the proximity of these Fulminators, all of these guys had to get out the back and come round. So that's made it has significantly slowed their advance. This Rhino is staying put. I'm sort of envisaging some chapter thralls have got out and are piling things into the Rhino from these crates. Although, not quite sure where they fitted with those guys all in there. come back to that. So what's going to happen over here is these guys are going to put fire down here, probably the Hellblasters to be quite honest, because they're our biggest threat. And then charge in here. Sucks to be those guys, especially with... Not reading it. It's a lie. I'm not reading it. Especially with Vincor, Champion Vincor, and Mirak the Executioner involved. After a couple of games, these will start to come naturally, and I won't have to look them up. Trying to build my narrative for both armies. This is going to be a protracted campaign. If this is successful, I'm going to film many, well, probably 2, 3, 4 vids in my garage. This is a garage conversion, this room. Yeah, conversion of a garage. That's a fake wall. The door's on the other side of it. Well, actually, no, it's an existent wall. It does actually exist, but it... Why do they call it a fake wall? I don't get it. Back to the plot. So over here, much dilemmas were had. So the Havocs could see Boggle and weren't directly under any kind of threat where they were. So they've moved in this direction to try and get line of fire on the aggressors. So the aggressors are going to get cover from the corner of these crates, but the Havocs will be able to put some fire into them. The Contemptor, Amethyst the Depraved, he's pretty steamed, he's pretty angry, and because he has the Hellbrute keyword, he can use the Hellbrute stratagem, the Fire Frenzy, so he's just going to go nuts and lay fire into the nearest unit. These guys got out. No one is daft enough to charge at those Flamestorm aggressors, so it's a big gamble here, is trying to eliminate those aggressors. They are the biggest threat to me on the battlefield at this moment. The Rhino, having deposited its cargo, is now surging down here to try and control some more of the board. And then over here, the Bile Drinkers have dropped in the backfield to try and take this objective off the Fulminators, so they are not on it at the start of their next battle round. Because I might be able to shoot them off this one. I'm unlikely to get them off that one. Oh, that's a good point. If I shoot those Fulminators, I might get him off that objective and then have to take the return fire. Ooh. I did think about my other reserves. Because at this point I can bring them in anywhere on this middle edge, but not in my opponent's deployment zone, at his table edge or his board edges. But we had Fulminators pretty close on both sides. I think that's an aspect of the table being quite narrow, was playing lengthways. So I elected to keep the other units off for the time being. I'm trying not to think ahead to what the Fulminator guy is going to do in Retribution next turn, because, this Night Lord turn should hit pretty hard. However, these guys having just landed, the Fulminator has noticed them arriving on the Auspex, so we're going to do an Auspex scan and rapid fire the Fef off these guys, and hopefully take a few of those out. I did toy with the idea of making the guns rapid fire 2 with an extra 2-point stratagem, but I think I'll keep that in my hand for now. So we're going to... Oh, yes, and the other thing is, of course, because we're now in Battle Round 2, the Tactical Doctrine is now in effect. So these, if they hit home, they'll have a bit of a kick. So, let's go and do that. So that's 3 wounds, 3 saves of 5+. 3 dead Raptors. Nice going, lads. God damn those Imperial dogs. So, the Havocs fired a couple of missiles down. Those both saved, so good strong armour there. One last cannon clipped the can, and another one vaporised that aggressor who was standing in the way. So now the Contemptor's going to go a bit crazy. So Butcher Cannon firing twice. It's only -1 AP, the Butcher Cannon, so it doesn't get through a lot. 2 got through, 2 damage each, blew one apart. Now ordinarily they would now be taking leadership at -2 at the end of the turn in the Night Lord phase. but because they're stood next to Lieutenant Feldor, they are immune to morale. So these guys are going to open up with Veterans of the Long War and see what they can do. So one more aggressor killed to Plasma Fire and Assorted Bolter Fire. 2 left. Okay, so in the charge phase I'm going to have a dilemma. I'm not sure if they count as having... They moved last turn, so they must not count as being stationary now, so it must just be 4d6 shots. I could use a stratagem to get a bonus from charging out of cover. From the darkness, I think it's called. But then I would definitely get heroically intervened into. And I would have to take circa 14 flame hits. Or I could stay here and get the cover bonus when I'm charged at next turn. Ooh. Well, it's not a dilemma I have just yet. There is more stuff to do first. More carnage to wreak. Okay, 1 wound plinked off an intercessor here from the remaining fire. Not that there was much of it. The flame is out of range. The champion's got lightning claws. Over here, the rhino firing into combat. Just basically someone opening the hatch, getting on the gun, and just spraying downwards has plinked a wound off an intercessor. Now my dilemma here is where to put the fire from First Claw. These guys are, in theory, more of a threat. However, with the tactical doctrine active, these guys are at -2, so they're almost as bad as these boys. It's just they'll wound on 3s rather than 4s. So actually, I think this unit is going to try and murderize the intercessors. So I'm going to do all the shots, and I'll come back to you with the saves, I think. Alright, I got excited and I started rolling some of the saves as I was going. But it was only bolt weapons, so I thought, it's alright. I'll come back at the end and do the saves for the heavy bolter and the melter and the plasma. Yeah, 0 wounds. So, obviously they're quite annoyed at having to have got out of the van. Got out of their rhino from where they did. And they're just concentrating more on murdering and skinning these guys than they are of putting fire down the table. So, you fired, you fired, you fired, you guys fired, you've all fired. Well, you were out of range. You've no one to fire at. You can't fire at those guys because you're not within an inch of them yourself. So everything that can fire has fired. So now we're going to have a whole bunch of charges. And I am aware that the Fulminator can interrupt. So, this unit is going to charge at that unit. You can't overwatch. He can't overwatch. I can't overwatch because I'm already locked up. Not that it's going to make any difference, but as per one of my house rules, I'm going to roll once for all of these. They either all get in or none of them get in. But then when it comes to activating in subsequent phases, I do things as per. So if they only get a 2, then these guys will all get in, but then he'll only end up there and then won't be within half an inch of them to activate later on. Okay, the Raptors are going to use Raptor Strike to go in against this unit, so they'll roll 3d6. And what to do over there? The dilemma. You see, I could actually take that objective off him if I am bold enough. But there's a difference between being bold and being stupid. Maybe I should check the rule for the firing of the gauntlets. Yes, I should totally do that. Okay, if there's one thing that Night Lords are not, it's timid. And yeah, they do make some pretty stupid mistakes. Sorry, I messed around with the camera because I got the dice in the wrong hand. There we go. Many people would re-record that. Yeah, not me. So, the plan is I'm going to use the From the Night stratagem, which is the whole unit's in a terrain feature. Then, when they declare a charge, they get +2 to the charge move, and then +1 to hit in the following round. So when they said that these books were written with Psychic Awakening books were written with Nightdead in mind, I now believe them, because that cancels out the 2 from being in a terrain. And yeah, it also means that I'll take the 4d6 flamer shots whilst I'm in the crater, so I'll have a 2-up save, and then I'm going to throw veterans on them in the ensuing fight, and see if I get thingied. Now, from what I've read, you can attack anyone who heroically intervenes against you. So when he heroically intervenes in, I can do that. And I'm totally looking at the stratagems. I said to myself, I'll look at the stratagems before each turn, and I didn't. And I'm kicking myself now, because there's at the movement phase turn, I could have used a stratagem that I can't quite remember the name of. But basically, I could have used a corruptive Vox signal to turn off his aura abilities. So he wouldn't be able... The rerolling wounds wouldn't be active, and neither would his fearlessness bubble. So I am kicking myself. So, 2d6 charge. I don't know what I need, but we'll see if I make it. I need... gonna have to measure. So 5 does get me in. That stratagem I was talking about was called Vox Scream. It would basically fill his Vox with screams and sounds of torture. It would just block the channel. Okay, 4d6 Flamestorm Gauntlet hits. For 9, 14. So rerolling 1s to wound, that is 10 saves to take. Oh, are they at minus anything? Oh, it's the thingy doctrine. Oh, I may have messed up. Hang on, booking required. Mistakes were made. They're at -1 because it's a tactical doctrine, so the save goes back to 3+. So, saving on 3s. How many do I... They don't make armour like that anymore. That's good, solid, Heresy-era armour. Booyah! Booyah! I don't think Night Lords say booyah. They probably say, we're coming for you, or something like that. I think Fulminators say booyah. And I'll stop now. Okay, so I've just remembered that the Overwatch cost me a command point. 8 dead bleed into my head. I've paid the command point. Right, 3d6 Raptor Strike. Paying a command point. Don't know what I need. Into those intercessors. Not paying for Overwatch. Oh, hang on. Hang on. That's defensible. So I can either be at +1 to hit now, or I can Overwatch on 5s. Well, as mentioned in my house rules, I don't restrict uses of command points per phase, because they would turn around and shoot the guys who... In fact, I should turn the models around, because they've already Auspex scanned, and they know they're there. So yeah, so I am totally spending another command point on Overwatching, and I'm taking the 5 up to hit. But let's see if they make it in. No. With 5, they don't make it in. Oh, that sucks. Now they're going to get shot in the face. So, mistakes were made. Yep. Okay, this will make the Night Lords feel better. Okay, 1 unit, charging in, 2d6, that's cocked, but it's 6, that's in. I may not reroll if I'm being cocked. Yeah, they're in. They are totally in on a... It wasn't cocked, it was 1, I could clearly tell it was 1. 6. They got a 6-inch charge. So, I'm going to do that. So despite the fact that I don't use the coherency check rules in the morale phase, I still obviously maintain coherency. So, and that's because these are actually 3 units. These guys have piled around this way, each one being in 2 inches of another one, and the characters have moved in on that side. If there are any armor saver up to now, I'm good. Oh, no, hang on. I've got to decide what order I'm doing this. Yeah, I'm totally starting over there, because if I get interrupted over here, I'll live with it and take some damage. If I get interrupted over there, I'll get battered to death with power fists. So and this one didn't happen. We're starting over there. Starting over there. Okay, so after piling in, at the end of the previous phase, Lieutenant Feldor did the thing. Then piling in, staying within an inch, 2 inches of two models, with +1 to hit because of from the night, or is it from the darkness? From the night, I think. And then Veterans of the Long War. There was one guy who was only within half an inch of someone who could attack Lieutenant Feldor, so he had to go against the lieutenant, who was of course lower toughness. So these are the saves. I still rolled 6 1s to hit with the things. Yeah, loads of 1s. Hit on 2s, load of 1s. So these are saves for the lieutenant against his 3+ armor. He fails 1, so he takes a wound. I'll check how many wounds he's got later. These 9 are against the aggressor's regular 3-up saves. That's very good news for the aggressors. Less so for the Night Lords. And then these 2 are -1 for the chain axe. Can't kill an aggressor here. Nada. Zip. Oh my word. That is going to sting in a minute. So surging forward, these 5 intercessors lunge at the Chosen as they charge in. These guys know how to fight heretics. They are their preferred enemy. They've been fighting them for hundreds of years. And as such, the heretics have 9 saves to take. Saving on 3s. I wonder if they can do what the aggressors did over there. Nah, could have been worse. Perfectly statistically average. 3 of the Chosen go down. Okay, so there's a lovely bit of symmetry to this. 9 saves to take with each of the 3 weapons that we're attacking with them. So first off, the regular saves of 3 up from the normal combat weapons. 1 fails. Oops, that's because I'm looking at the camera. Kills this guy who was on 1 wound. Then we'll do what we were going to do, work our way up. Helped by the rerolls to hit from the presence of the champion. Rerolls to wound even. These are power axes, so they're -2 to the save on 5s. That's 3 fails, so that kills 1 and puts another 1 down a wound. Then 3 from power fists. These are also saving on 5s. 3 fails. That one that was down a wound dies. Then D3 on the next one dies. D3 on the next one also dies. So the Chosen wipe the unit out and are going to consolidate forward. I think. Are they going to do that? They're probably going to do that. So this fight over here was as swift as it was brutal. The Lieutenant tearing down 1 and the Flamestorm aggressors killing another 5. Reroll to hit from preferred enemy really helped, leaving me with 4 on this objective. So in the morale phase, the Night Lords have paid 2 command points to hold to the insane bravery. That way, because they are 4 obsecking models versus 1 obsecking model, the Night Lords are going to control this objective, which will deny the Fulminators. Actually, it'll deny them nothing. It'll deny them nothing because they hold 2, which is 5 points. They aren't going to hold more than their opponent, so it denies them nothing. Oh well, spent it now. You'll see a raptor-shaped gap over there. Also failed morale because 7 had died. 1 ran off, so I rolled a dice for the other one. Got a 2. So 1 or a 2, extra models flee. So they jumped down, got shot a lot, flew away. The An inauspicious start for the bile drinkers. So, however, at the end of the turn, I have units in this table quarter, that table quarter, the Rhino is in that table quarter, and the guys who consolidated forwards over there. Oh, the characters also activated and moved forward with them. They are also in that table quarter. So that is 3 shiny points for the Night Lords at the end of turn 2. Now, the reprisal is going to be brutal. Okay, so this is after the Fulminators movement phase in turn 2. Start the turn, gain a command point. I do like that. And scored 10 points for holding two objectives. Okay, so what are the objectives for this round? I think Lieutenant Feldor has decided it is a crunch moment and has called in reinforcements. The Hellblasters have stepped up to this barrier to start raining fire in. Those intercessors are holding firm on that objective. And Chaplain of Braxis has successfully recited the recitation of focus, giving all +1 to hit for everyone within a 6-inch range. I don't know if they're going to be in. They might be, they might not be. We shall see. I don't tend to check that kind of thing. I think it's a bit gamey. The aggressors have got that as far as the lieutenant is concerned. So these guys are being instructed to put their fire into this Rhino. The ancient Agamenus, the ancient Agamenus Quartus, has come on in a flanking manoeuvre and is going to put fire into these Havocs to try and take out their backfield firepower, and then going to attempt a long bomb charge at that Rhino to attempt to bring it down. These guys are going to attempt to wipe out their Chosen, and these units will look at mopping up whatever's left and taking out that Rhino. So this is where we try and clear our field of filthy heretics. Hooray! Okay, so the venerable... No, it's not venerable. You can't have a venerable Redemptor Dreadnought. That's a shame. I guess they'll be venerable at some point after enough time's gone past. Anyway, the honourable fallen battle brother Agamenus has targeted these Havocs. He declared the 2 big cannons into the Havocs, as well as the pew-pew chest gun storm bolters, and the missile pod, because it's multi-damage, on the off chance into the Rhino. So, upon firing on the Havocs, they declared in Midnight Clad, which makes them -1 to hit. Upon their declaring in Midnight Clad, he declared Wisdom of the Ancients to reroll 1s. Now, the Havocs are toughness 5, and they are all within 3 inches of that crater that he's firing through. And if I've understood the rules correctly, that gives them +1 save. So, after the hitting and re-rolling and all that gubbins, they have 8 saves to take. 4 against the Onslaught Cannons at +1, -1, so they're saving on 3s. Okay. And these 2 are regular saves, saving on 2s. Go on, there's a 1 here, surely. No. Okay, so one of them lives. Let's leave a last cannon. Oh, yeah, stop the thing when you're taking off piles of bodies. Okay, so that was ultimately successful. Look at all those 2s. Look at all those 2s. Goodness me. So, Lieutenant Feldor's trap well and truly sprung. These filthy heretics who have overstretched themselves. This unit has outflanked them and paid 2 command points to use rapid fire. Turned out to be half an inch out of the radius of the Chaplain. So just re-rolling the 1s to hit for the Bolter Discipline, which has resulted in this many wounds. It's a lot. 5, 14. and the tactical doctrine is still in effect, so these are all -2. There are 5 members of First Claw left, of the chosen of First Claw. I suspect there won't be in a moment. Dead. They're dead. They're all dead. Goodness me. And of course, it's worth noting, with all these Night Lords dying left, right, and centre, this at the end game will be giving the Fulminators lots of points within their ranks, and the Night Lords' minimised casualties victory points are vanishing rapidly. In fact, there are only 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9 Night Lord models left on the table. Good. Oh no. 10. Gee whiz. Okay, these bad boys hit hard. Right, now these guys are about to light them up like a Christmas tree. Because that's the first and second in command. Yeah. Ooh, stingy. Okay, so the Hellblasters have unloaded into the Executioner and scored a total of 3 wounds. Now, his Stormbolt plate gives him +1 to saves, so that saves on 2, and he always counts as being in cover, so it's effectively another +1. So that makes his save kind of a 1+-ish. And they're -4, because they're -3 rapid-fire weapons. So 3 saves of 5+. Well, they didn't overcharge. They didn't seem it was appropriate to do that at this point. They didn't get the all clear to abandon the safety protocols. Saves of 5+. No, okay, so that's 3 wounds. I believe he has 1 left. Let's fire at him with the Chaplain, who hits and fails to wound. Okay, let's see if we can finish him off with these Intercessors. Although we will... Or will we put the grenade into the Rhino? No, the Rhino will still be there in a minute. He looks really nasty. Let's try and murder him. Okay, so with the +1 to hit from the Chaplain, who was reciting something, recitation of... I haven't left the book over here, honestly. The recitation of focus, yeah, Chaplain of Braxus and the recitation of focus. I will get these names. So hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s with the bought weapons, very, very handy, and have scored 5 wounds. So it's the tactical doctrine. So counts as being in cover. So -2 goes up. His 2+ save goes to 4 up, back down to 3 up because he counts as being in cover. So he needs to make 5 3-up saves to retain his 1 wound. Can he do it? Almost. But almost ain't going to cut it. The Warlord falls. Dun dun dun. But there is no more gun left here. There are no more guns. Everyone has fired. Well, they haven't fired. So maybe he can be shot still. He'll probably make it. I wonder what he can do on his own. If he'd survived, he had a bucket load of attacks, and he's a character killer and all sorts. He could have minced through this lot with his flat 3 damage, which is probably why they shot him. So it's the end of the shooting phase. The Lieutenant capped one of the Night Lords. A lot of fire came into this Rhino, it did nothing. And these 4 absolute legends fired at the table and took 2 wounds. That's right, 2 wounds off the 53rd Talon champion. So, we need to have a good think about the charge phase. Okay, electing not to charge here because we are holding that objective, and as this heretic comes closer, we will simply mow him down. Plus, he's going to turn off all my aura abilities if he gets close. So, yeah, not so much. Over here, the Lieutenant is going to charge in again. Makes it. Yeah, he makes it. which means he is going to fight first. So, let's do that. I just get really excited over here. Okay, so the lieutenant charged in, killed a guy. At which point, I remembered the sequence changes, so I get to go before the aggressor's got to go. Because, of course, the thing is, I've just been charged. Oh, sorry, I mustn't shake the camera, even though I'm excited. I've just been charged. And he's got a chain axe, which is higher strength and -1 to wound. So, these guys fought back and killed one. Failed 3 saves and killed one. Then the one remaining aggressor totally fluffed. Well, I know he didn't totally fluff because he's hitting on 2s, he's hitting on 4s, re-rolling because he hates these guys, and he's wounding on 2s, rolling 1. So these are, totally brutal against this army, but made 2 saves. Yeah. Oh no, there won't be any morale because he's making them immune to morale. I'll have morale. Morale might be a thing. Oh, that is the end of all the combats. Oh, okay, so we must be on to the morale phase. Okay, oops, fingers over camera. Oh, I'm doing this thing with the dice in the wrong hand again. So he lost 2, and he's leadership 8. He can't fail. So he's fine. He is still there, contesting that objective 1 for 1. Is that how it works? It's 2 obsec units. Yeah, I think that's totally how it works. Over here, they lost 4. So 4 plus 4 is 8. I need to check their leadership. It might be 7 because the champion's dead. In which case he runs off. So, yep. Leadership 7. He ran away. Which is going to make a difference at the start of the Night Lord's turn because of objectives. That's the word. Objectives. So that was a successful punchback from the Adeptus Astartes. Very successful. The Night Lords have 5 models left on the table, and the Marines still have 30 odd. Let's see what the Night Lords can do in turn 3. So that was quite a crucial test over there, because this is contested. So had that Havoc held, the Night Lords would have 1, 2, 3 objectives, and the Fulminators only 2, giving the Night Lords an extra 5 points. As it is, the start of turn 3, the Night Lords gain an extra I'm sorry, I'm umming and ahhing because I need to try and work out when I gained the extra 3 points for table quarters. I think that's at the end of the turn. So I've written that on. I shouldn't have written that on. I'm going to go and write that off. Yeah, so still only 23. Fulminators behind on paper, but there's a big dead pile, and the Fulminators are getting points for that. And the Night Lords are not getting points the more that pile grows. Right, movement. Ooh, thinkage. So that was quite a long movement phase. So, Champion Vincor, who would have been given command of this mission if there had been any anticipation of Astartes turning up, has had a slightly more sensible and tactical approach. He has climbed into that rhino and run away. Because staying there, death. He hasn't survived this long by just dying. Now at this point, there is some serious Astartes firepower over there. You can also sense a gunship on the Vox, on the Auspex, but can't do anything about that. Not really got anything to deal with that dreadnought. So yeah, climbed the rhino, run away. The rhino managed to do an advance, rolled a 6 for an advance because it's heavily crippled, that rhino, and can't really move very far. Although I might have done it out of 3 inches of movement. I'll check that in a moment. I assumed that it was in its lowest bracket, but maybe it isn't on 3. Maybe 3 to 5 is medium. Ooh, check that in a minute. So, Amethyst the Depraved has decided he's having these guys, and they're having that objective, which is, of course, taking him off this objective. So, objective-wise, We're looking quite scant at the moment, but we are playing to minimise losses at the moment. So 10th Claw have moved on from this table edge in the cover in this side of the table. They can't get as far as that objective in this turn. Maybe they can next turn. We'll see how everything else is going. Lines of sight might be helpful. It might take the Marines a couple of turns to reposition, which might mean we have some latitude here. It might not. So that's what 10th Claw have done coming on here. They're also in the crater, so they have a little bit more longevity. I can also use a Midnight Clad a couple more times. Oh, I didn't get myself a command point. I need to go and get myself a command point. 5th Claw, I've come on here, remembering that this building blocks line of sight. So they're tucked up behind here, ready to put fire down into these intercessors. The Rhino backed off a little bit and is going to put firepower down into these intercessors. Amethyst the Depraved will probably do the same. There aren't many other actual targets. Oh, in fact, is he in engagement range now the guy's dead? He might not be, you know. But then again, he would have piled in after he did the killing, and so would he, so let's say that's fine. Okay, time to go and review stratagems. And... yeah, ooh. Maybe he'll fall back. Maybe he'll fall back and he can get the charge. Because I don't think I can get to the aggressor now. I mean, could he before I just moved those about a bit? He probably couldn't a moment ago, so that's probably not a problem. But if I want to engage them both, I'm going to have to... yeah, fall back, coward's way, and just leave them all open to gunfire. Yes, that's a much better idea. They can all be gunned down and then charged. But falling back a little bit less, so he's still on the objective if it doesn't work. Okay, time to shoot. Okay, so 5th Claw has fired in. Had to stop and think about the terrain for a moment, because I thought, oh yeah, they'll shoot first, because these guys won't get the benefit of that barricade. But of course, the crater is in between them, so and they're within 3 inches of it, so they're still going to get +1 to the armor save. So, having rolled everything, this is what we got. This is a successful wound with a melter gun, which is -4, which would normally go straight through, but they got +1 from the save, so save for 6. No. D6 wounds. Dead. Deadity, 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 dead. These two are heavy bolters. +1, -1, so 3 up saves. Yees. Dead. And these two, +1, -0, so 2s. They're good. Okay, right. What next? So, 10th Claw have fired. They split their fire. Anyone with a bolt gun fired on the intercessors, took off a wound, and all the pistols fired into the enemy that looks to be in charge, and took a wound off him as well. I'm now just going to try and work out where to put the rest of the fire. So the dilemma is... ooh, the dilemma is I definitely still need to be able to charge. No, I don't definitely need to be able to charge. If I achieve everything without the charge, that's not a problem. But I've just realised the way I've fallen back, I haven't left enough room to get the Dreadnought in. But if I charge both of them, if I get a long charge, I can always go round and connect with both of them. Oh, but that will put me in Danger Alley. Maybe I don't want to do that. He's got 2 weapons. I can split them. There's a combi bolter and the butcher cannon. I really want to kill these guys, but I'm not convinced. I've got enough guns from elsewhere because of their save, and I don't negate any armor save with my regular bolt guns, unlike these flyboys. Despite the fact they're mass reactive shells. Hashtag not bitter. See, the ideal is to wipe out obviously these 3 units. I need to have some more thoughts. Okay, so I decided to kill the aggressor, so I didn't have to take the overwatch. Conserve stuff. Killed him with the butcher cannon, didn't need to use the combi bolter. He failed 2 of his saves, 2 damage each. Lovely gun. And then the rhino plinked a wound off that guy. So morale is going to be a thing for these guys, but I don't think it's going to be much of a thing, to be quite honest. I'm not going to get any Night Lords really close enough. I could try a long bomb charge with those. It's only 9 inches, but then they would be in firing range. But they'd be in cover, and we'd be out. No, it'd still be turn 3. We'd still very much be in the tactical doctrine. Right, remove some casualties, do some charges. Okay, so charging is done. I remember that going through a crater will make it an 11-inch charge, so we've not bothered doing that. This fine fellow here, this frothing maniac, who, yeah, does nasty stuff, spent a command point on hit and run and attempted to charge the intercessors, but he botched. These guys, because of the prepared position they were in, decided to spend a command point on Overwatch, but his armour saved him. So, all in all, 2 command points spent, nothing happened. The the Depraved has got into combat. He made the charge and gets to fight first. He has, I'm not trying to look in a book, honestly. He has 4 attacks base plus 1 for charging. Oh, I'm doing it again. I'm putting the dice in the wrong hand. There we go. Right. So he hits on 2s on his current wound level. That's 4 hits. Currently strength 14. Wounding on 2s. That's 4. Minus 3, so he needs 6s to save, and this is a flat 3 damage, so he needs 4 6s to stay alive. Poor old Lieutenant. Well, he got 1, but yeah, his armour crushed, and the Contemptor hurling him into the distance. That would be Warlord if Warlord were a thing. That is the commander of the Fulminators taken out of action. And that's the end of the assault phase, the fight phase, whatever the phase is called these days. There's a leadership check to take over here. They're within 6 inches of a Night Lord. They lost 3 guys, so that's minus 4. So their leadership, I believe, is 7. So they're fine. So I think at the end of the turn... Oh, move these dice up. Oh, that was a 1 for his wounds. Yeah. I think we have troops in this quarter. We did get an extra 3 inches of move there, but didn't quite take it all so as to stay in that quarter of the board. And troops in this quarter, so it's 2 extra points for the Fulminators fighting on all fronts. The Night Lords fighting on all fronts. Now it's Fulminators turn 3. Let's see what they're going to do. And the Fulminators still have a unit in reserve. So in the last turn, the Heretics pushed me off that objective. However, they've come off a number of them themselves. They've left me holding. Thank you to that. I mean, they're just legends dealing with those Raptors. Imagine if they hadn't killed the Raptors would have taken them apart and would now be running around back here. Crazy. I still hold that one. So even though I only hold 2, the Night Lords only hold 1, which means that I hold more than the Night Lords, giving me 15 points, tying it up at 25 all. Let's see what we can do. I am debating where to bring the Inceptors in, because I'm not sure I can guess at these guys, because that blocks line of fire, and I got an 18-inch range, I think, from memory. I can't drop them right here, because I'd be... Well, partly that would block my deployment, but also it's insane. and I want to go nowhere near it because that would insta-kill them, and no mistake. So the question is, do I maybe drop them in here, but try and keep them back enough to wipe that unit out? But then next turn I want to get at that unit there. I can't put them on an objective without putting them way out of the way. But do I need more objectives at the moment? Well, if I don't kill those, the Night Lords will go onto it, so in turn 5 they will score that objective as well. I also want to kill that Contemptor Dreadnought, that Rhino, and this Rhino. But all my big guns are back here, and they don't really have the lines. I mean, the Redemptor is going to move up here. I don't think I can get him onto that objective. Or maybe I can. I need to measure. Tape measure. I need to measure. But I wanted to share my thought process with you. So what I'm thinking is trying to get him onto that objective, try and shoot that in the back and blow it up. Then I've got an objective, then that's some points for bring them down. Also, the unit in there, the character that he has to keep alive, the while we live we fight, is in there. So if he gets out, he'll either be maybe here and vulnerable to some of these guys, or there and vulnerable to those guys, or the Inceptors if I bring them down. So do I need to worry about another objective? As long as I keep someone on here, maybe I actually move these guys up to take that objective and move them around to do other things. It's the range, you see. I mean, the other guy has deliberately put stuff over there to keep it alive, because he needs to keep stuff alive, and he's just hoping he can hang on and score enough points and not die. But I think I am going to score more points for thinning his ranks than he's going to gain for keeping his army alive. But then little things become important. Like this guy, he represents the death of the whole unit. So actually, now I think about it, they got to kill him. That's their job. Sorry lads, can't save everyone. So let's see how far I managed to get with all the moves, the various moves, and let's see where I might put the Inceptors. See, I could keep them off another turn. Realistically speaking, means I only get them for 2 turns of the game, but they could be quite crucial. They could... Let's see how I get... Oh, I'm leaving dice everywhere, very unprofessional, which is kind of ironic me saying that, considering all the wobbly cameras and the random waffles and everything out, the lawnmower in the background. Yeah, okay. Let me think. I'll do some moving and see what happens. Okay, so we've done a lot of moving. The first thing to talk through is this. It is super difficult to tell if he's within 3 at the edge of that objective. I mean, it's a hair's width, and it's wobbly, and it was difficult to measure the exact distance. If I were playing someone, I'd give it to them, but also if I were playing someone, I wouldn't ask for it. So what I'm going to do is roll the dice. 1 to 3, he's out. 4 to 6, he's in. I think that's the fairest way to do it when I'm playing against myself. 4 to 6, he's in. So he's on that objective. Okay. This unit of intercessors is staying to hold that this objective here, to guard it from other marauding heretics. The Hellblasters have moved up here to shoot at the front of the Rhino. 2 of them can see it, just about. It will get the cover from the canister, although I will check if that's just infantry. The other one will probably try a long bomb up the table at that Rhino. These guys were doing no good where they were, so they've advanced. His litany is inspiring again, so they are adding 1 to their +1 to hit rolls. These guys are starting to fall back because they are heavily outnumbered. However, they are going to try and shoot that other guy on the way. And it left a nice little spot there for the Inceptors to drop into. Yes, they're going to take some fire next turn, but they can put fire down. Actually, they can't shoot these guys yet, but they can put a lot of fire into that Contemptor and potentially finish off this Rhino if it needs it. And then they're well placed to position for next turn to move this way or that way. Whew. Let's see if we can rout these heretics. Okay, so firing first with the Hellblasters. This guy could not see, so he fired up the table and failed to wound that rhino, who was just about in range. These two, one was pretty close whether you could see or not. The rules say you don't get cover, you can only really see the front. Oh yeah, it died. These two rapid fired in, took 4 wounds off it. It didn't explode. He didn't get destroyed on the way out and has disembarked here. So that I didn't check that from the other side. There we go. That was the intention. Disembarked there. So the Redemptor Dreadnought doesn't have line of sight to him. So the targets for most of these Marines here are now gone. Except for these 4. These 4 can potentially kill that dude. And those 2 can potentially kill that dude. So we're going to fire these 2 and see what happens. Okay, so this guy was in Midnight Clad. Spent a command point on that. So -1 to hit. After the rerolls for Bolt of Fusillade, he has 1 save. And given it's still the Tactical Doctrine is in effect, it's at -2. So he saves on a 5 up. He lives for now. That could be important. Okay, these 4 guys, they remain stationary, so they get 8 shots up at him. I'm not going to pay anything swanky. I hope that 8 shots can just finish him off. Although I will declare in Midnight Clad with that guy because he's hugging that statue. Which means I think I will now declare rapid fire with those guys for 2 command points to double the shots. I'm not sure if that's the order, but that seems appropriate. I've just had a leaf through the stratagems to see if I could use the auto-hitting one instead, because that would be really funny, but I can't. But I've just realised that I should have used transhuman physiology when the... What's his wound counter? When the lieutenant died over there. Forgot. Oh well, still learning. Right. 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 shots twice. I should really get 16 dice. I'll get 16 dice. 16 dice. Okay, -1 to hit, but re-rolling 1s. Let's see how we do. How are we doing? How are we doing? Look at the 1s, look at the 1s, look at the 1. No 1s. Okay. So 2s and 3s are misses. That's a 2. That's a 3. That's a 3. That is not looking good for him. Wound... Yeah, he's a goner. Wounding on 4s. It's still not looking good. It's not looking good. So that is 8. 5 plus saves with 2 wounds remaining. I don't like his chances. Hang on a minute. Oh, no. No. Dead. Okay. He falls. So over the box now, the Night Lords are calling the Talon Master up in orbit, desperately calling for retrieval. After these people have turned up again, there always seems to be so many of them. It's like fighting a company because there's 50 of them, but each one's 2 Marines. Oh, sorry, I digress. So they fired. No targets for them. They ran. No target for him. I don't think. Can he actually see anyone? I worry about range in a minute. Okay, maybe those guys in the distance. I'll check his ranges. So I think the only unit left to fire are the Inceptors. And they are going to light up the Condemned Dreadnought. It's a lot of shots. I'll come back to you with the saves. Okay, we're not quite at the saves yet. I just looked and thought, oh, are they within range of Chaplain Abraxas? Yep, this time they are in range. And with the recitation of focus, everything hit. Yep, everything hit. It's okay. To me, strength 5. I'll be fine. I've had worse. It's just a flesh wound. So that was actually pretty abysmal wounding. So only 7 got through. That is exactly how many wounds he has left. With the Assault Doctrine, these are -2, so he has a 5-up save. I thought he had a 2-up save. I was confusing it with Leviathan Dread. So, he needs to save at least one of them. Preferably more, because there's going to be a lot more violence coming. So, let's see how that ancient chassis holds up. Okay, so from a heretic's point of view, held up pretty good. Yep. Down to 5 wounds. Woo! Swingy. Okay, so at the end of turn 3, the Fulminators scored 2 points for bringing down the Rhino, because they have the Bring It Down objective, a unit with 10 wounds, a vehicle or monster with less than 10 wounds, 10 or less wounds, 10 or fewer wounds, and instantly, at the start of the Night Lord's turn, they gain 5 points for being on 1 objective. Now, you can see what's going to happen here. The Fulminators have securely got 3 objectives that the Night Lords are really going to struggle to push them off. So if they want to stand any chance of victory, they've got to jump on one and push them off another. This is what we call a long shot. So it turns out that the ruins aren't difficult ground. So these guys are going to attempt to move through here and jump onto this objective, whilst the Dreadnought is going to do its level best to hurl itself down here and kill these jumping things, and the Rhino will do something, and those guys over there will go and jump onto that objective. It's a big push, but it's the only way to stand any chance of securing the supplies they need before extraction comes. And there's a lot of return fire. It's looking tough for the Night Lords now, but you know, skin to peel. Okay, so this is where we are after the Night Lord's movement phase. This Rhino has advanced over here and popped smoke to get close to these barrels of Promethium. Door's gone down. Serfs are busy trying to get Promethium in there. I did toy with the idea of jumping all these guys in there, but they aren't going. You see, because I need to conserve my losses. It's one of my objectives, but I don't know. They're relatively out of line of fire where they are now, and I need them to be on objectives. Admittedly, that guy's already on that one, but I ummed and ahed, and I'm not sure I've made the right choice. The Depraved has slowed down quite a bit. Now he's taking a few injuries. He must have taken a blast to a knee joint or something. So he's only ended up there. These guys are not impeded by the cover of move 6. Now I can use the stratagem to charge out of the cover, but it's -2 to go across the defence line, so it's going to be a really long charge if I want to do it. So I think the thing to do is to shoot him off that objective and then maybe charge at these units to try and kill him, depending on how the other shooting has gone. But I'll cross that bridge in a minute. Okay, so partway through the shooting, this fine fellow, I keep wanting to call him a fine fellow, I don't know why, shot the guy in the face with a plasma gun. Then the Depraved, Amethyst the Depraved, fired his Butcher Cannon and Combi Bolter into those intercessors and killed 2. Clipped the last wound off one guy with a bolter, and they killed one with a Butcher Cannon. Now, interestingly, that means they're going to now at -2 leaderships. They're effectively at -4. If I can kill one more, or even 2 more, if I can kill one more, the last one might run. You never know. Stranger things have happened. So, declaring 5th Claw, there are 3 guys who are in range of the survivors. A bolter, a bolt pistol, and a melter gun. So they're going to fire at that unit, and the rest of them... Oh, actually, there's some bolt guns that are out of range, actually, so they'll fire as well. So the heavy bolter can fire, and the bolt guns can fire single shots at that range. So the pistols will fire at these guys. Yeah, that's totally what I'm doing. Right, let's see how that works. Okay, so symmetry appears to be a thing again. Pistols fired into here, got a wound, armour saved him. Good old Martian armour. Mark 10? I want to say 10. So we have 3 hits and 3 wounds with other various weapons. One with a melter gun that will save on a 6 because of the extra point of armour from the barricade. Doesn't save. D6 wounds. 2. Heat haze. So this is from a heavy bolter. Is it -1? So +1, -1. Saves. So you can't die. And this is a flat 2+ save because of the cover. Can't die. So 1 guy left. That is going to be significant. I reckon it is. Desperately looking around the table to try and find more guns. I can't find any more guns. They're all out of range. He's done smoke. He's fired. Oh, I just want to kill that one guy. He killed so many raptors. Oh, you silly bile drinkers. Why did you let them... Enhance your calm. Enhance your calm. Right, what I think I am going to do... So it's going to be like a 10... I'm going to do some measuring up, then come back and start talking. Right, so it's a 6-inch charge for Amethyst to get to the Inceptors. So I'm going to declare the Intercessors and the Inceptors as the target for his charge. The Inceptors are going to Overwatch for a point to see if we can bracket him before he gets to us. Yes, see if I can do that. So 6-inch charge. 10. That gets us in. Right, let's do the Overwatch. I'll come back to you after the Overwatch. Okay, so 3 wounds and 3 failed saves on the Overwatch has bracketed him down to 2 wounds. Now, I'm taking a gamble here as the Night Lords. I don't want to come out of my nice safe cover that's mine, that's giving me an extra point of armour, and I can be in midnight clad whilst I'm in here, and it's lovely and fluffy, and I'm going to get a lot of shots in a minute, and they're all no longer in tactical doctrine, or they won't be next turn, so they're staying put. Now, if Amethyst can survive, that guy is within 6 inches of a Night Lord unit, which means not only were there 3 casualties, -3, one of them was to a Butcher Cannon, another -2, so -5, and he'll be within 6 inches of a Night Lord, Terror Tactics, so -6. So it's going to be re-rollable, but on a 3 or more, he'll run away. So, dice gods. Let's see what happens. But first, Amethyst is going to punch these Inceptors. Sadly, he hits on 4s now. Well, sadly for me. Not sadly for them. That's exactly what they wanted. Okay, change of plan. I've just been having a look through the Night Lord's stratagems to see if there's anything I could do to bump Amethyst up. And I've noticed flay them alive. Flay. If I kill a unit in combat with a Night Lord unit, I can flay them alive. And then any unit within 12 inches of that unit, which would be this one, will have to roll 2 dice for morale and apply the highest. So whilst I want to try and be in there, I'm safe and snug in there now. If I use From the Night to charge out, thus negating if I need to go into there, and kill them, then flay them alive, there's even more chance he'll run away. So, the Space Marine guy isn't spending a point on Overwatch, so these guys will spend a point on From the Night. So add 2 to the roll. Well, they're keen. Okay. Right, let's do that. So another thing I've just realised is that they are within 3 inches of the barrier. So they are going to prepare to get an extra point of armour save against the attacks from these two guys. Because these ones... And that guy, did he come across the barrier? He did go across the barrier. Yeah, those. Okay, well, first off, I am going to fight with Amethyst because there is... I mean, I don't care if he interrupts, he might kill a couple. Okay. If he interrupts there, he might flip the last couple of wounds off. I don't want that to happen. But it is a long shot killing these guys. It wouldn't have been a long shot earlier with 5 attacks hitting on 2s, but now hitting on 4s, and there's nothing I can do about it. So let's see. Let's see what we can do. It looked so promising for a minute. 4 hits. I thought, yes, 2s to wound. A couple of 1s. I can't reroll wounds for any reason, can I? No, the guy who let me do that's dead. Okay, so saves to 6s. No, 2 of them die. Okay. 2 dead. So, am I going to interrupt here with my last 2 command points? No, I might want them for something later. So, they butchered those last 2 guys with ease, and then did the flaying thing, which was frankly... I used Veterans of the Long War on them as well for my last command point, which was frankly massive, massive overkill. So, right, the Inceptors are fighting back. Oh, he better pile in to get... Oh, so fiddly. So fiddly. Piling in. Right, so 2 attacks each base, 1 for the Sarge. This many attacks. Hitting on 3s. Don't know why I'm filming this. It's probably the least important one of the thing. Wounding on 5s. Now you say that, Paul. That's 3 wounds. He has 2 wounds left. Ooh, 1 at a time. Dramatic effect. Drum roll. Saved. 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 Okay. So, he's happy. Now, it gets interesting. So, let's do the Inceptors first. So, they lost 2... Yeah, we're definitely in the Night Lord's phase. They lost 2 models. Their leadership will be 8, I'm sure of it. I'm not sure of it. I'm going to go and check. Their leadership is 8. I was correct to be certain of it. So, just thinking about how this works now, because they flayed those guys alive, any unit within 12 inches that's taking a morale test has to roll 2 dice. So I think the way it works in 9th Ed is if you're rolling 2 dice for the test, then if you're re-rolling, which unless you know what a fear gives you have to re-roll them both. That's what I think is right. So they lost 2, and they're within 6 inches of 2 Night Lord units. So that the 2 Night Lord units brings their leadership down to 6. So they lost 2. So it's the highest of these plus 2, which is 6, would be a fail. Now, back in the day, that would have made them all run off, which would have been beautiful. So they've got to re-roll both to try and get low. Gets a 5. So a 5 is a fail because it's their leadership's gone down to 6 plus 2. Yes, that's a fail. So 1 definitely runs. There are 2 left, and the unit is below half strength. So now I roll 2 dice, 1 for each of the survivors, and on 1s and 2s they run. No, so they are going to hold firm. Now, t'other guy. He lost 3 guys. So his leadership is 8. It's now 4, I believe, because he's within 6 inches of 2 Night Lord units. That takes it down by 2 to 6. He was shot at with a butcher cannon, and something died to a butcher cannon, which brings it down to 4. So his leadership is currently 4. They lost 3 guys. So Snake Eyes required for a pass with a possible reroll. That's not Snake Eyes. 1 in 36 chance. Can he do it? He can't. He runs off. Oh, that is how to Night Lord. Oh, one of these ran away as well. Yes, that is how to Night Lord. Does the Night Lord dance? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Night Lord. Sorry. Okay, at the end of Night Lord's turn 4, they didn't get any additional points because they're only holding 2 table quarters. Nearly close. Oh, if they'd been able to get further, I don't know. There's no reason they would be able to get further. You know what I need? I need some bikes. Go and order bikes, Paul. Order some bikes. I may go and order some bikes. Because, the Raptor cult is fast, but I don't know if I'm including the Raptor cult. Yes, bikes. I digress. Sorry, Fulminator. Right. So, the Fulminators are on 2 Hey, that dice roll there could have made it go a number of ways, couldn't it? Because then it would only be 5 points to the Fulminators if that guy hadn't been in range. But he is. So, 10 points for the Fulminators, bringing the score to, at the start of round 4, 37 points to 30 in the favour of the Fulminators. I've just realised that as we've been going along, I've been looking at this board and knowing what the score is, and I haven't been showing it to you guys. Sorry. I'll do better next time. So the Fulminators might get some more points at the end of this turn, because they still have Bring It Down, and there's 2 units that they could get some more points from. So they could get another 4 points potentially during the turn. Okay. So that's the situation. Everything's on the board, everything's in play. Now, if they still want to be on that objective with him next turn, he can only move a little bit and might not even be able to get any decent line of fire. Now, I wonder if we could. So I think they've got to hold on to that objective. It's we, I'm a Fulminator now. We've got to hold on to that objective. That's definitely ours. This one's looking a bit stickier. Starts the battle round. It dies! Am I reciting the recitation of focus correctly? On a 3. Yep. Okay. +1 to shoot. So I reckon. So these jumping guys can't really. They want to pull out. They're gonna pull out of that. I think. I'll put them somewhere where they're not likely to get much incoming fire because they can't shoot this turn, having fallen back. So I then reckon it's Hellblaster fire, and maybe I can get some Redemptor fire into it as well to try and finish off that Contemptor, and then try and get someone onto that objective for next turn, and just put as much fire into these guys as I can. I'm not really going to be able to get those because he's put them. Oh, he hasn't done a very good job of it. I could maybe just get a couple of shots, but I've got more bullets I want to put into these guys. So I think it's a bit of manoeuvring, try and get on that objective, and try and put as much fire into those 2 units as possible. Because he's worth points to him at the other guy at the end of the turn, the end of the game, if he's kept hold of them. It's the only one that is still left worth points, because the other 2 characters are dead. They're bemoaning the fact they didn't deploy their Land Raider. Because the other guy wanted to save the fuel. I said the other guy, the Talon Master. Yeah, the Lord. Yeah, don't talk about the Lord like that. I don't ever imagine a Night Lord speaking like that. No. It's not a Night Lordy thing. Right. I'm going to stop waffling now and do movement. So having moved, Amethyst Quartus, the very, very Roman-sounding Redemptor Dreadnought, has a line of fire on Amethyst the Depraved. So he's going to light him up like the 4th of July. So all the smaller guns are fired. The Stormbolt, the Icarus Rocket Pod, the small Gatling Cannon. Took a wound off him. We have 5 saves to take at -1 from the big Gatling Cannon. So 4s to save. And there he goes. Now, does he blow up? No, he doesn't, but he does fall. Now, all of these guys firing into this unit. So, everyone's getting +1 from the Chaplain's buff. The Hellblaster's not overcharging these guys. And I think these guys will spend 2 command points on Rapid Fire to... Yeah, I'm really regretting spending my last command point on Veterans of the Long War earlier. Should really have saved it for this, for Midnight Cloud. Never mind. Mudge Daka, see you on the other side. Okay, so the Hellblasters fired in, and the guy took them on the two that were outside of the thingy. Seems appropriate. They weren't in cover. It was my mistake in firing those first. These guys rapid fire, also pitched a grenade in, did nothing. Bolt pistol, did nothing. So, rapid fire. 36 shots from 9 Marines. Rapid fire 2, all close range. Are they all close range? Yes, they are. They are. 14 wounds. +1 cover, -1. So these are saves of 4 up. So let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dead. That's the squad. Whew. So at the end of battle round 4, the Fulminators gained an extra 2 points for taking out the Contemptor Dreadnought, making the score 39-30. Let's go and have a look and see if the Night Lords can do anything about it. I doubt it. Okay, quite a brief turn from the Night Lords. So brief, in fact, I started to have the Fulminator turn before I remembered to film. So coming back a little bit. The one champion who was there has jumped in this Rhino to guard all the Prometheum. I say guard, that's what he said. But I think he was thinking, these guys are hunkering down there. There are some jumpy dudes over here who may be an issue in a minute. Hopefully they can hang on whilst the Thunderhawk extraction arrives at the end of the term. I did consider putting everyone in the Rhino and just driving off, but what that would have done was instantly give the other guy 2 objectives. So he'd automatically get 5 points, and I think that would have pretty much sealed it. I think it's looking pretty slim for the Night Lords now anyway, but basically the Fulminators have a turn to try and shoot these guys off with some jumpy dudes and destroy a tank. And that might be enough to reduce the amount. It probably won't be, I'm probably on the lowest bracket for minimised losses, so it probably doesn't make a huge amount of difference. But there's 2 points for that tank, and then there's thin the enemy ranks. So yeah, another quick turn of Fulminator shooting. Come back to you in a minute. Okay, so I think that's what we like to call the coup de grace. So Hellblasters, Intercessors, grenade launchers, all into the Rhino. Took a bunch of wounds. Had a couple left when the Dreadnought opened up with everything. Stripped the last couple of wounds off it. Didn't explode, but did kill the guy inside. Sad times. No big load of Prometheum for the Night Lords. Wonder what they're going to do. So, and the Inceptors killed 3. They felled morale on a 6, and one more guy vamoosed. So, their Thunderhawk is inbound. Thunderhawks are inbound. There is going to be a fighting retreat, and all the casualties are going to be recovered. Some left, I'm sure. Some not. Maybe the Fulminators will back off when they see Thunderhawks inbound. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But one thing is certainly true. Is this has cost the Night Lords an awful lot more than it has gained them. Or has it? Yes, it has. It really, really, really has. Although I am going to tot up the final scores just for giggles. So the final scores are in, and the result is 57 points to 45 to the Fulminators. Actually, the Night Lords didn't do as bad as I thought they might have done. So going through the Night Lords secondaries, minimising losses. Got 5 points for that if you've got at least a quarter of your army left, by which I mean 3 guys. Those 3 guys. 5 points. Kind of feels like a free 5 points if you don't get tabled. But that's part of this particular mission. It's not a generic one you can always take. Engage on all fronts. No, the 3 guys... engage on all fronts. I got quite a few points for that by being in table quarters for a number of the turns, but that sort of evaporated towards the end. And while we stand, we fight Yeah, all three of those guys got killed, so no points there. The Fulminators, first strike, they didn't get very much there at all. Oh, well, they didn't do it, they didn't complete it, so that wasn't achieved. Bring it down, they brought down their 3 targets, so that got them those points. And a total of 7 points for thin their ranks, 6 points for thin their ranks for just basically killing model count, which was quite a lot. It's not a huge casualty pile for the Fulminators. The Night Lords, they don't kick out a huge amount of damage. To be fair, it's a very, very narrative list. It doesn't have anything demonic in it for narrative reasons, and they're the most powerful units in the Codex, most effective units in the Codex. It didn't have a lot of tanks or anything like that. It had a lot of units, and yeah, your basic Space Marines, because I guess most of the Primaris range at the moment is your basic Space Marines. They are all able to do work, serious work. So yeah, wow. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed playing it. I really like the scenario. I like and everyone is saying this, but it's totally true. I like the difference terrain makes. I expected it to make a difference, and I was right. It did. It slowed a lot of units down. 2 inches off a 6-inch move is quite a bit when going through certain things. And the ability to ignore them where you get it is kind of effective. Yeah, big, heavy intercessor. Intercessor heavy army, really super effective, especially against lots of massed infantry. But even not against the infantry, it's that tactical doctrine. It's the -2 on bolt rounds when you're hitting really easily, especially if you're being buffed by this guy who's giving you pluses to hit, and you've got bolt of fusillade to reroll 1s. That's it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then 5s to wound on higher toughness vehicles. -2s to saves. Yeah, your basic intercessor can really do some stuff. Well, I mean, my brine is a little mushy at the moment because that has taken 7 hours. Starting to feel a little bit but I really, really enjoyed that. Quite swingy. The Night Lords did not get nearly as murdered as I thought they would. And in fact, in turn 2, I actually thought they had the upper hand for a moment. Until I then was the Fulminator guy again and remembered all the reserves I had and where I could bring them in and what that could actually do with the range being what it is. And yeah, I used rapid fire quite a lot. There are lots of nice ones in there, but there don't seem to be many that you want to use all the time. Don't know, I need to study the book more. But yes, well, I hope you enjoyed this first battle report. I apologise for the bad camera work and everything, but if you've watched my welcome video, you'll know why that is, because I won't do these things if I have to do lots of snazzy stuff, because I just have very, very limited time, very limited days. So yes, as you will know, if you've seen that video, I don't have the comments enabled. If you like it, throw me a thumbs up. If you don't like it, throw me a thumbs down. It's all good. If you really want to get in touch with me or see other things I do, you can find me on Instagram. I am DZTV _ say hi, Paul, on Instagram. Shout out to all my great friends at Deployment Zone Top TV and Winters SEO. They do amazing work. And at Fast Panda Gaming, as they do they. Oh, words aren't working now. I'm going to give you my closing remarks. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. And everybody stay happy. That's a rubbish thing to end on. All right, I'll say something else instead. Bye-bye for now. Yeah, much better. Much better.